Welcome everyone. My name is Todd Hall. I'm an application architect at Ford Motor Company. And today's session, I'm going to walk you through our journey in what led to us creating a cloud-native reference application. So it is a case study, so we're going to walk through kind of the journey we took, which resulted in this product being delivered. So first and foremost, just kind of an introduction to Ford and the automotive industry. Ford, we are a 114-year-old company. We're number 10 in the Fortune 500. We did $150 billion in revenue last year. We sold 6.5 million vehicles. And we have a little over 200,000 employees. So that's really just to kind of set the stage for the scale and size of what we are as a global company, and kind of lay the thought that it's a challenge to change when you're in a company that large and that well established, and especially in light of recent developments in the auto industry. So basically, first point here, there's been a lot of pressures in the auto industry. So lots of competition, lots of new competition. So companies, tech companies that you wouldn't think would be getting into automotive are, whether it's electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles, mobility solutions. So Ford is transforming to become the world's most trusted mobility company. Really that revolves around the fact that we realize, especially in the large cities like San Francisco, for instance, that not everyone can be driving a F-350 truck through town. It's just not enough room for them all. So we have to kind of reinvent ourselves in a way. Ford delivers connected vehicles, and that's vehicles that communicate via the cloud. Smart vehicles and mobility services. And really what that means to me is that those type of vehicles, software is at the core. Software becomes a differentiator. No longer are we just delivering software to back-end servers or in our assembly plants that aid with the production of vehicles. We have millions of lines of code now residing in vehicles. I don't know if that's a good thing or if that scares people, but that is the reality. And really part of this pressure has made us realize that we need to deliver faster. We need to deliver at market speed. We need to embrace this startup mentality that's prevalent, on this side of the country with all the Silicon Valley and the startups. So we can't have product cycles like we did with vehicles, where you dream up something and hopefully 5 years later you can roll one off an assembly line. So our software, the way we operate, has to be different. So what did we do about that? Really, it was a combination of a lot of different things. Cloud came to be. We learned about Pivotal Cloud Foundry, Cloud Native, so and partnering with Pivotal in helping us embrace changes, not just software solutions, but also transformation type things, changing how we work. So all of these things together are really, in my mind, were key to helping us improve our delivery speed of software development. So we realize these new tools are available. We can work in a different manner. That led us to our cloud native journey. So just a quick little background. Ford, we've been heavily invested in Java. We are a Java shop. It's our standard core programming language. We do have other languages in use, but typically you start with Java. If that works, we're supposed to use Java, and that's been going on about 15 years. And primarily that meant that we were doing EE applications and deploying to WebSphere. 400 plus apps as far as our WebSphere installation is concerned. So we had the investment in Java, we had some skills in Java, so how could we leverage those skills? And like I said, that was about 15 years ago. So on the timeline here, I would say this was about 2015-ish. We had some teams start to experiment with Spring and Spring Boot. And really, again, that was this need to go faster. Teams realized, we had embraced Agile at Ford. We're working in short iterations. We're trying to deliver faster, but some of the tools didn't lend themselves to that rapid development. So we had, like I said, some teams start to experiment with Spring and Spring Boot, and they were successful. It really did lead to increased velocity. But I should mention that while we were a Java and EE shop, Spring was really new at Ford, so we didn't really have much of a Spring presence. So, and Spring Boot was relatively new in 2015. So this was all new stuff. But again, enough success with those trials, those experiments. But that experiment, there was no home for it. We didn't have a place to run it. And shortly after that, there was some conversations with Pivotal and looking at their cloud platform, PCF. So our experiments then took the experiment to try it in PCF, and those were deemed successful. So we selected PCF as our strategic cloud platform. And something I kind of want to call out here is that it wasn't just you guys over here can use it. Really, once we made that selection, it was free for any teams that were starting projects to go ahead and jump on board and try PCF. So part of that story too is we had a couple key applications that were delivered, and again, Pivotal had a lot of resources that were available, and we leveraged in the delivery of those. But we realized as a company, we couldn't just keep bringing pivots by the plane load to Michigan to work on these. As much as we love our pivots and have had great experience with them, we realized that we needed to have some technical leadership within the company and gain that expertise on PCF, Cloud Native, Spring. So the decision was made, hey, let's try to put something together where we can internally support our teams, our enterprise, our IT as they want to move in this direction. So we needed a Ford team. So we came up with PCF Dev Enablement. That was the team name. So I've heard the word enablement like a million times this week. We did pick that name like over a year and a half ago. So I don't know if I'm not saying we're the first ones, but we definitely weren't the last ones. And we came up with this slogan, mantra, whatever. What is our mission in life? This is on the whiteboard in our work area. Enable and empower developers to do their best job in PCF in the cloud native world. So set that out. After the team was formed, and just from back to the timeline perspective, so we're talking first quarter 2016, this happened. The team was formed. Immediately, let's set out what are our goals and objectives, of course. And we quickly realized, hey, while we had many SMEs on the team in the technology stacks at Ford already, we had to really get going on our learning journey. So did a lot of training, Spring Boot, Spring Cloud Services, PCF Cloud Native, formal training offered by Pivotal, classroom training, a lot of obviously experiments and learning on our own. We attended SpringOne as a team last summer in Vegas. That was a great experience. So yeah, we really took on the challenge. And I'll also add a lot of Pivotal resources really right around the corner from us. So if we had questions on any topic, they were always willing to help or point us at the right pivotal person with the expertise that we needed. So that was very valuable. The graphic up there, hopefully you can all see that. We kind of decided to break up this team, or at least define the scope and responsibilities of what we hope to really be leaders in. And that was architecture and application architecture specifically. And that happens to be my area of expertise. I'm the lead on our app arc team, or segment of our team. We are one team. Tooling, so focusing on dev tooling. Trying to figure out a suite of tools that will meet the needs of the cloud native developer at Ford. Platform team, so architects that can have that expertise on the platform itself, the services, and how we can best leverage them at Ford. And last but not least, community. So we felt it was very important to have some people that were responsible for putting on community events. And I think we'll get to a couple of these in the more specific high-level team goals and objectives. So what were those? Some of them. This is not the exhaustive list, but when we got together, we're like, okay, we're going to represent the app dev teams, represent their perspective in dealing with our PCF engineering and operations teams. So our infrastructure folks, we didn't want hundreds of developers giving a mixed message. We wanted to represent the dev people's needs and help prioritize and push along changes that we felt would have the best bang for the buck, try to help prioritize the limited resources that we had in those teams on the operations and engineering side. Define and coordinate implementation of required development tooling. So in a large enterprise, it's difficult to get new tools set up. It's even harder to get them integrated. There's always passwords and authentication that has to happen for tools to talk to each other. It can be cumbersome. We wanted to get that laid out. Have an opinion. So we don't force anything. Something I should have mentioned with enablement, it's really, we want to not be a governance. We want to offer solutions, offer suggestions. Teams are free to accept them or go their own way. We're not going to slap anyone on the wrist for it. But we think we can offer a compelling solution that will allow teams to get to what they're supposed to do, and that's solve business problems, deliver apps that are solving specific problems. So why have them do all of this work? Provide architectural guidance and consulting to dev teams. So to me, that's short word. We term that as our consulting requests. So in a large enterprise, tons of people find out about our team. We've advertised as part of our community effort. So we're getting hammered with questions. We set up one-on-one sessions. We meet and discuss potential solutions. Or it could be as far as we sit and pair with a team as they're getting started. We are a team committed to hands on a keyboard, not just doing PowerPoints and doing other architecture diagrams. We really want to be technically savvy and be able to help teams solve problems. Establish a community. So that's really around providing learning opportunities, running workshops. We have a knowledge base. It's a SharePoint site. So that teams can help themselves. We find solutions. We post those solutions, and hopefully people can find the answers that they need to commonly solved problems. Stay abreast of evolving developments. That's why me and some people from my team are here this week. There's always change. We're always learning. So it's really important that we stay ahead of the curve so that we can help teams decide what's the new technology that will help us and what's the stuff that maybe we can hold off on. So that's our job there. And last but not least, the title of my presentation today, create a reference application. and the associated reference architecture, patterns, and practices. So that was one of the things we laid out as being important to deliver, and we indeed did work on it. So, building the cloud native reference application. So next, we tackled this. So you might ask, well, why did you work on a reference application? What is a reference application? The why is that many of us on the team came from a center of excellence organization that had success in delivering a reference application for our J2EE or JEE applications that ran on WebSphere. We had a lot of success with it. It was well received. We could use it in a lot of different contexts, whether it was for training. A lot of teams use it as kind of this kickstart to actually build their applications. So a lot of those 400 apps in WebSphere that I talked about were indeed created using the application architecture laid out by our reference. And what I think makes our reference a little unique, and it was the case with the EE version as well as the one we did for Cloud Native, is that it is a real running application. You download it, you can run it, you can deploy it, and I'll get into a little more details on that. Next, this was critically important. We partnered on the design and implementation with Pivotal's platform acceleration team, and that included some of Pivotal leadership that run that platform acceleration team, as well as some software engineering expertise. So this fit into what that team had envisioned for other enterprises, so it was a good fit. It worked really well. So we were pair programming with some Pivotal resources. We had some of our own resources, and we sought out on building this product. And just as I said, as a product, we treated this reference application as a product. This is kind of a new concept for sure at Ford. So we were committed to Agile practices. We were committed to leveraging CI/CD. We really wanted to experience what a real development team would experience day to day. So it was important not just what we were delivering, but how we were working and how we were delivering that. So we wanted to experience the pains of doing cloud native at Ford and break down barriers for real teams. So what do I mean by that pain? Well, as you can imagine, whenever you need some sort of resource in a large enterprise, and especially at Ford, that means the dreaded ticket. Submit a ticket, ask for something, look at your watch. What's the SLA? It's not minutes, it's not hours, it's days. So we didn't want to also, we didn't want to bend the process. We didn't want to use our relationships. A lot of us have been at the company a long time, and we can call in favors. We didn't want to play that game. We wanted to make sure that we felt where the pains in the processes and where we could address those process challenges. Building the cloud native reference app, our product is deployed to PCF. So I said it's downloadable, it's runnable. We actually, and because I stated we also use CI/CD to deliver the product, we were deploying it to PCF. Initially in our internal cloud offering, and then ultimately also we added deploying it to our public cloud. We have teams using both. It depends on your business case, where your customers are, as to whether you host it in our internal or external. But we didn't want to favor one over the other. We wanted to assure that we could, again, break down barriers in either of those platforms. And finally, what did we deliver? Well, we delivered code, design patterns, documentation. Our pipeline code, you could look at that. Don't have to figure out how to get this thing built and deployed, tested, all of the great things you can do in a pipeline. And most importantly, we shared that with our community via a shared source code repository. Ford, we're using GitHub Enterprise, so we made those, the repository public. And we also kind of embrace what I'll call an internal open source model. So we define to the community, hey, we'll take pull requests. If you have, you crack our code open, you find a bug, you find something you think we're missing, submit a pull request and we'll consider it and work with you on it. So really, I mean, I think that just points to the fact that this reference app is for our community. If it's not helping them, if they see flaws or shortcomings, we want to hear about it, we want to address them, because it is indeed something to help the community. All right, this is pretty busy, a lot of bullets. Patterns and opinions. So we hear Spring Boot, you always hear, well, it's an opinionated framework. Well, in our reference, we have opinion. We're architects, every architect has an opinion. So our patterns and opinions, first and foremost, you know, like I said, we're new to Spring, we're new to Spring Boot and Cloud, microservice architecture. So how do you address some of those concerns when you're building a distributed app? You use all the great Spring Cloud services, service registry with Eureka, circuit breaker, config server, backed by Git, distributed tracing with Sleuth and Zipkin. So again, yeah, you can find documentation to implement any one of those things, but we're showing all four of them in the same app. And again, this gives it a forward context. Some of our infrastructure, some of our network, some of the things are different. So it's important that we have a working solution that a Ford developer can have confidence will be a workable solution for them, because they're going to deploy it to the same locations that we deploy our reference. So demonstration of our use of Gradle. Certainly they could use Maven if they want. We took the opinion Gradle works and solves a lot of our problems. So we show how this project's built with Gradle and how we handle dependency management. Under dependency management, we've laid out what versions of the libraries we're using. So teams can come in and have confidence that, oh, all these versions are guaranteed to work together. I don't have to go figure out what version of this Apache library and this Spring Boot library, what ones, you know, should I use. Furthermore, Ford process kind of restrictive on the use of open source software. So if they saw it in our reference app, they know it's been blessed and it's good to go for them in their app. So one less thing they have to worry about. Security, really important. And every enterprise handles security differently, so we wanted to make sure we demonstrated how security worked. And that's both authentication and authorization. So we have some custom authorization engine we use at Ford, and we show how it gets wired in with Spring Security. The authentication piece with UAA and OAuth, we demonstrate how that's all wired together. Again, let's get developers solving business problems, not worrying about how all these things integrate. So persistence, testing. We're new to Spring, so it was important to kind of call out, hey, these are the kind of things you should be concerned with Spring. How do I do simple things like auto wiring, bean registration, use of profiling. So a lot of code, excuse me, a lot of code there. We didn't just have fun, yeah, we had to write documentation. So we laid out some documentation that in many cases would point to real implementation, but we also wanted to lay out, well, what was our decision? Why did we arrive at where we arrived? So we gave opinions on Git workflow, release management, microservice architecture, API versioning. In fact, we demonstrate an API versioning strategy in our reference app. DB schema management, we use Flyway to demonstrate handling of schema changes through automation. Again, DevOps, CI/CD, we call out our patterns, explain how we do blue-green deploys. and logging strategies. So, and most of that documentation is hosted in our GitHub Enterprise, markdown files alongside of the code. So go to one spot, hopefully see some working software and some good documentation. All right, and what did we learn? We got through, we graduated, we're wise. So I underlined we because I know that our community learned from us. We did workshops, we delivered some code that they could use. So I know that they learned stuff. What I'm focusing here, what did me and my team learn on this journey in delivering the reference app and the other deliverables that the PCF Dev Enablement team delivered? First and foremost, the community is eager to take on cloud native. Whenever we did workshops, lunch and learns, training sessions, we do WebExes once a month on some various topic, and our people from India, South America, UK, and the Michigan area all dialing into here, and we just get an overwhelming response. So the community has spoken. They're interested in this. They're eager to get started. I mean, I think everyone is that. This conference is an example of, wow, so many people coming to a conference to hear about cloud native PCF and all it has to offer. What else did we learn? It takes time to deliver, to provide a mature ecosystem. So what I mean by that is we had been WebSphere for a long time, and I know I did. I kind of took it for granted that teams delivering something in WebSphere, all of these concerns were figured out. Security was already figured out. Deployment frameworks, monitoring, all these things were all done for you. So you kind of thought, well, geez, I'm switching architectures, I'm going cloud. I'm going to snap my fingers and everything's going to be ready and it's going to be just as robust as it was for WebSphere. Not the case. So it takes time. I have a backlog to prove it. We're not done. We're still going. We have lots of work to do. But we've made a lot of progress. CI/CD and automation are must-haves. So when we talk to teams, it's, we're offering all of this great technology with Pivotal Cloud Foundry and Spring Boot. They all allow you to go fast. But if you're not going to commit to automation, CI/CD, you're really just selling yourself short. You're missing out. You will not be able to deliver as fast without that. So we definitely are big endorsers of this. You have to do it. Excuse me. The trailblazing journey was as important as the final result. Again, that's my talking about feeling the pain. It was really, it's great, the final result. And it's not a final result. It's never done. But it was very important that we went on the journey. And finally, the last one, the reference application provides a safe space for new integrations. So we have this app that now we can try out new technologies and prove them out and not impact real apps. We can take the bullets on the pain of trying to integrate new stuff and then share that with the community. And finally, every presentation I went to said we're hiring too. Careers.ford.com, great place to work. We're doing a lot of cool stuff. And at the end of the day, all that cool stuff we work on hopefully results in some really cool products rolling off an assembly line and sitting in driveways all over the place. So thank you very much. And if you have questions, I think we're done, but I'm free to take some time out in the hallway. Thank you.